How's it going, everybody? This is the wild child, Connor Hopkins, the handsome coyote in Those Damn Coyotes. And you are listening to the Sit Down Marks podcast with DB, Primo, and AJ.
Hey, yo.
If I can be serious for a minute.
Oh, yeah. Acknowledge me.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Come on in. Sit down. It's episode number 153 of the Sit Down Marks podcast. And today, well, put those numbers up in the air and let's fucking go one time because Jay Repsel is back. We had him on a long time ago, episode 76, when we were talking about the return of Dreamwave Wrestling, the Summer Spectacular. Man, it's been many shows since then, and he's back to talk about everything going on in the state of Dreamwave Wrestling. But before we bring him in, I want to thank everybody for watching on YouTube and Facebook right now, and everybody listening on Apple, Spotify, Audible, all those podcast platforms out there. So, as I said, he's back, the owner and promoter of Dreamwave Wrestling. Let's fucking go. Jay, what's going on, brother? Glad to have you back, man.
What's up, guys? It's about time you got me back here. Jeez.
Yeah, it was too long, as you told us pre-pod. But good to see you, man. Good to be back. It's good to be able to talk to you other than just on show day, because show days are crazy. So glad to be back here with you, brother.
Yeah, man. I feel like we should be running around panicking about something right now. Like every time we're around each other, it's like chaos. So
yeah, man, it is, man. So we had to bring you back, man, because there is so much going on in Dreamwave Wrestling today. Primo's with me today. Primo, you've seen all these big, huge announcements, man. So much to go over today, right?
Yes, sir. A lot to go over. Glad to have you back, Jay. It has been a while. Happy for all the success you've had over the past couple of years that you've been on. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, man. Great to be here.
And for everybody watching right now on YouTube and Facebook, I know a lot of people have a lot of questions, and we're going to get to those. But, as we go along through the pod today, a lot of these might get answered. So if you don't mind, I will open up a little forum, if you will, at the end of the podcast. So you guys can, we're going to take some questions that I got submitted through email, and then we're going to take some questions in the chat too. So we'll open that up later. So hang on for that. So, Jay, before we get started, man, you've done a lot of promoting, a lot of wrestling, but what would promoter Jay Repsel right now tell promoter Jay Repsel starting out? What would you tell yourself?
Oh, man. I was such an idiot, back then, just in a lot of ways. I was a cocky little prick. And, I think as you get older and mature, you, I don't know, man, it's crazy. Once you hit, I'm over 40 now, and it's like, you just mature in so many different ways. And if I could have some of that time back, I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I wouldn't give a dime to do it again.
Yeah, right.
I learned so much the hard way. And yeah, man, times are so different now too. I mean, just from promoting and the way we do things, I was just telling somebody the other day, like the days of handing out flyers are long gone. I mean, it's, I went and saw a local band the other night that's kind of blew up on TikTok, and I was speaking with them about it. And it's like, they used to hand out demo CDs, and we used to go flyer towns and stuff. Now it's like, I only print flyers to sell at the shows, and that's it, and the world has changed. But anyways, to answer your question, I guess I just say, be a lot more humble because you haven't done shit yet, man.
Yeah, man, that's all. I love that attitude, man. It's always good to have that one. So, like I said, man, last time you were here, Jay, we were talking, the return show, of Summer Spectacular, which was 2022, August 22nd. There's been so much going on, with Dreamwave since then. You've since added a women's division, Uprising. And so, between then and now, nobody's put this number together for you, but, you did 21 shows since then, 22 coming up. So, does it feel like Dreamwave is bigger than ever to you, or,
1,000,000%, man. And going back to the way how things are different now, we have different metrics now. It's not just the ticket sales. I mean, we're so grateful. And when I'm sure I'm going to say this numerous times, but when the shows sell out and things like that, we're not like glossing over that. I mean, that's amazing. But at the same time, there's so many more metrics now that we have to hit in regards to, live viewers and people that go back and watch the shows after the fact. And, we spend so much time now with the socials, putting videos out there, content out there, and trying to stay relevant and things like that. So in that aspect, I think we've never been hotter. And yeah, man, I think this is by far the biggest Dreamwave's ever been. And it's still growing too. There's no end in sight right now. Obviously, I'm
Right.
sure we'll talk about that tonight a little bit, but we're finding new ways to constantly challenge ourselves and do fun stuff. So
Yeah, man. So I mean, the return, obviously, it's been super successful. Unbelievably, every show has been selling out. And let's talk about that real quick. Like, not only selling out in record time. Selling out. Faster than shows that have Hall of Famers attached to them. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So, and people are. I talk to people at shows. People are flying in. People are making this like a weekend. You know what I mean? Especially on the double shot weekends now that are involved. So, it's almost like you're putting on a destination party for a lot of people coming in. As a promoter, that's got to feel pretty vindicated by that, right? Like people are traveling, spending a lot of money, to get to LaSalle.
sure, man. And I don't want to compare us to anybody because I'm way more humble than that. But, when I was watching, when we were coming back out of the gate, I was watching PWG and they didn't go on tour. They didn't go to bigger venues. They had their venue. And if you wanted to go to see that product, you went there and saw them in Reseda. And that's just how it was. And that's how I mean, again, I'm not comparing us to peak PWG or anything, but that's the vibe I want. And I want people to, so I'm very happy with the way things are going, and it's unbelievable, man. It's, and that's a testament to we don't have the Hall of Famers, but the stories are clicking right now. I mean, it's, at the end of the day, no matter what people say, wrestling is good versus evil, or the conflict has to matter enough to buy the ticket. And that's what we're doing, and we're doing it right. So.
Right. And that's kind of got to be, feel like kind of like what's different this time. Like you said, there's so many avenues, with content, and so there's so many ways to get, eyes on your product to people. So, these shows are incredible. The energy's there. The fans are incredible. There's a buzz, about Dreamwave, and I think, a lot of it's got to do, it's like, when Dreamwave weekend rolls around, a lot of people, they're buzzed about the shows, they're buzzed about who's going to be on them, but they're also buzzed about, the flyer drop, usually, right after the show. And then the buzz is the hustle, for the tickets at 10 a.m. Central Time on Monday morning. So, there's like these, groups that are like following, Dreamwave, and that are, I see people talking to each other, on social media the day the tickets go on sale. Like, oh, did you get tickets? Did you get them? Yeah. Where'd you get them? That kind of stuff. So, and more people, are finding out about it, which, is great. So, so that's why we're here, man. So, there's so much on the horizon for Dreamwave, so many, announcements have been made, and we're going to address all of them. Right. So, let's get to where we're at and let's start with, what's up next, man. So we got Uprising 5 coming up April 11th, technically the next, event on the calendar. Let's talk about the Dreamwave women's division. Jay, where did the inspiration come from? And what made you decide to do this?
So it started all with the women's title. We decided like, hey, let's do this. And as you know, we try to never do anything half-ass, whether it's our flyers, our shows, our lighting, anything. Right. And that was it, man. And we just I saw these girls getting traction on social media, and I thought, man, and you see good ones, and you see ones that are not quite ready for their spot and things like that. So I feel like one thing I've always done is had a pretty good eye for who's putting people where they need to be in the proper places in regards to order of the card and things like that.
Right.
Who's ready for that push and whatnot.
Sure.
And I saw Brittany and Zeta, and I knew that those two, if they had the right vehicle, they could, drive it home. And so yeah, I mean, we did that, and it just exploded. I mean, I don't know, I'd have to go back and look, but I want to say that's one of the, if not the most watched match and show in Dreamwave history, was the finals of that. We flew those girls in early, which we're spending money to, promote and make these videos and things like that. And I think it really hit home with people, and, people picked their favorite and they picked their horse, and boom, that was it, man. Everybody had a dog in the fight, and, it blew up, and it was so successful that we said, let's do Uprising. Let's make it its own kind of company. And, there's some exciting things coming down the pike for Uprising too. We'll talk about that, but it's, yeah, man, I think there was a need for it. And I just did an interview with, actually, the magazine article just came out yesterday. And, the thing about it is we not came up, but like the Attitude Era, you think of the bra and panties matches and all that bullshit. It set women's wrestling back a long way. I mean, it really did. And there were some good nuggets in there too, don't get me wrong. But I think that I'm so proud of the fact that our women, little girls, are in the front row. And I don't know if you noticed it or not, but that rail is full of little girls cheering Maggie, booing Maggie, and cheering Brittany and things like that. And I'm so proud of the fact that these are legitimate athletes that these girls can look up to as role models. And I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of in the last couple of years.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It's really cool to see, because I feel like since the addition of the women's division, Uprising, I'm seeing more girls on the rail, more kids, you know what I mean, and bringing, and that's what it's all about, because that's what we need to see, right? You know what I mean? And it's totally awesome, because when you think, it's not just the women's division, you know what I mean? It's planting seeds. There's going to be some, some girl one day probably that's going to come up and be a big time wrestler, and she's going to say, I was on the rail at Dreamwave, and I wanted to slap Brittany's hand, or I was booing Maggie, that kind of stuff. So, and let's talk about the champ right now in Uprising. Shout out to Maggie Lee, happy birthday. One of the top women in independent wrestling right now, in your champion, and she's, everybody wants her on a show. Just talk about what kind of difference Maggie's making.
It's crazy because the Brittany thing was so hot, like when Brittany was champ, and it's like, so when you're a promoter or a booker or whatever, and you have to make a change, like there's a very fine line, and that window is very small about when's the right time, when's the wrong time. And I'm like, man, we're on fire right now, and Brittany was a big part of that. Zeta was a big part of that. Everybody was a big part of that. But I'm just saying, like, I'm so nervous about changing things that are working sometimes.
Sure.
And Brittany, my mind got made up for me when Brittany was injured, but Maggie was there. We were going into that, what was supposed to be the cage match between Brittany and Maggie. And I was so proud of that. And to be honest with you, before Brittany's injury, we still didn't know. I still didn't know which direction that was going to go. I waffled back and forth and wavered back and forth so many times. But there's no doubt in my mind, Maggie is, she's carried the company. Her and Connor both have been phenomenal champions. And that's what's cool about Dreamwave too, is the belts matter. They matter. And, going back to before I was even alive, that's what it was. It was a tool to draw money. And I think even some of the big guys have forgotten about that. And if everybody has a belt, it doesn't mean shit. And, I think that Maggie's done a great job. Brittany did a great job of making that belt important. I think when there's a lot of people out there that want to be the Dreamwave Women's Champion because there's a certain status that comes with it, and that says a lot about those two girls and what they did for that belt.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus too, with Brittany being hurt, Maggie was, jumped right in there and, and became, the star that, we all know that she is. So let's talk about Uprising 5. So fifth actual show for Uprising. 3 of these a year, correct? Am I doing my math right? On double shot weekends?
I think this year there was, just kind of the way the schedule fell.
So if you're new to Dreamwave, Uprising is their women's division. 3 shows a year is done on what we call double shot weekends. It's where the women will have Uprising on Friday night before the show on Saturday, which is coming up April the 11th. And you can give us a little update here, Jay. I know this thing's close to selling out, man. Or are we under 20 tickets available?
Oh yeah, there's definitely under 20, and it's like that's the other thing as a promoter. You're like, we can cram a few more people in there. Like, let them go, and it's an odd number. Let's add 10 more into inventory, and
Yeah.
we try to not make it too crowded in there. The Friday nights are a little harder. I mean, let's talk about that a little bit. It's
Right.
not the women. It's Friday nights. It's people
Yeah.
travel. It's so we're so spoiled with Dreamwave where they're selling out in 90 minutes. When Uprising, I mean, there's still 2 weeks from this Friday to go, and the show's gonna sell out. But it's like, why is it not selling out so fast? It's like, you try not to be that ungrateful, but
Right.
it's hard.
Yeah, it is, man. Yeah, and you try to accommodate for the Fridays by moving the start time back an hour to 7 p.m. Central Time. Because we normally start at 6 on our Saturdays. But dude, huge card coming up. Maggie's at the top of that. Defending her title on Friday night against Kylie Ray, and Maggie's very hated, and Kylie probably next to Brittany might be the next love. Well, RJS is up there too. You know what I mean? LaSalle loves RJS, but but big high stakes matchup here. Also on this card, Brittany Brooks versus Becca. RJS is defending the Dreamwave Women's title in a 4-way match, which is awesome. Looks like about 8 matches on this card here, including a 6 women tag match. But and these girls, man, like I feel like every show I come away going, man, I think this was the best one yet. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way you feel. So as you're leaving there, so Dreamwave Uprising, what's the future hold for Dreamwave Uprising, Jay?
Well, I think Uprising it's growing, and I think we're going to give it its own weekend. I think we're going to look into next year of maybe sliding it into a month where Dreamwave is off, giving Uprising a Saturday. I mean, I don't know if we're going to do the double shot or not. I mean,
Sure.
Those are things this is still very experimental right now. Like,
Yeah.
Let's see what's working. Let's throw things against the wall and see what works. We'll talk a little bit about the school probably later. The
Yes.
school is also going to be a venue. So that being said, I think we're probably going to maybe move an Uprising show there.
Okay.
I'm very excited we'll talk about it later, but I'm really excited for everybody to see the vibe that we're going to create there, and it's going to be pretty damn cool when it all comes together. So
I love it. So yeah, get your tickets April 11th, DWTix.net. Like Jay said, not many available, so go grab those. So Jay, let's really jump into the history of Dreamwave, because you're approaching 10 years of Dreamwave wrestling, man. What's that got to feel like to you? A
it's
decade.
10 active years, but it's been about 16 years. So we took that
Right.
little break, and so it's been a part of my life for 16 years, and I mean it's wild, to look back, and we started in 2009, I believe it was, and
Yeah.
that seems like forever ago. It was forever ago. Then we came back in 2016, I think, for the reunion show.
Yep.
And that's when the Cubs won the World Series. I was just saying the other day, man, that's been a long time ago already. So it's crazy, man. And we're, I don't know. I'm grateful for everything, and it just keeps growing. And like I said, I'm not trying to sound ungrateful here, but like when the shows sell out so fast or things are almost on cruise control, we're finding new ways to challenge ourselves, whether that be the school or the film or some other things we got coming down the pipeline, and a new star stepping up, building new stars, things like that. That's what keeps things fresh. And I don't see no ending in sight right now. I mean, when that break came, when we took that break, whatever year it was, I believe the beginning of 20. I don't remember when we took the break. I don't know, but everybody was burnt. Everybody was spent. It just stopped being fun. Like it just was not. It was time. Like I said, with the champion, you knew that it was time to take a little break. And when we came back, it's like, and I think the 2 months in between shows has made a big difference as well. because it's almost to a fever pitch. And if you miss a show, you're not going to see it again for 4 months.
Right.
And that's why those tickets go so feverishly, aside from the stories being good. And, we've learned a lot of things, and just little things we do, like you said, putting tickets on sale Monday morning and stuff. And, people are conditioned now almost that we know how those weekends are going to work. We know how Mondays are going to work, no matter how painful they are for some people, and myself included. I literally can't schedule a meeting that morning at work for like the first half of the day because it's chaos for us too. So
yeah, pretty cool, man. So it's a good problem to have. So Dreamwave X is coming up. We're going to celebrate 10 years of Dreamwave Wrestling, Jay. So what comes to mind when you think of 10 years? I think about, the guys from, that was with you in the beginning, in the starting out, think about like how, does it kind of blow your mind, like how long you've been doing business at the Knights of Columbus building?
it does, and it's like time flies anyways, right? Like,
Sure.
I don't know, when did time start moving so fast? Like, was it when we got out of high school or what? Because
I think
it's so crazy, man. And I've been doing this for even longer. I mean, I started with RCW back in 02, 03,
right.
and in LaSalle, and it was like, I went back and, I'm a big VHS enthusiast now. So I went back and I'm trying to convert those tapes over to DVD, eventually get them on IWTV. And it's like some of the stuff that's in there, it's wild. And, and then you go back and you fast forward to 2009 and it's like, it just seems like forever ago. That stuff looks so dated and antiquated already versus what we do now. Like we had like our screen at our first show. It was like this little tripod with like, it was like the one in the classroom with the pop-up thing and like pull it up. And like, I didn't even think that like I literally like wrote letters to people and said, hey, remember when you used to come to my shows in LaSalle? We're doing them again. Please check it out. So I didn't anticipate 400 fucking people showing up the first night. Like, I was like, this is crazy. So I mean, nobody could see the screen was my point because there's so many people standing there, and it's just, that building is great, man. It's so cool. I know we talked about it ad nauseum, but it's like, it's such a big part of Dreamwave and our personality and, what we do.
Yeah, it definitely is. So you got this huge show coming up. You put tickets on sale at 10 a.m. Right after the last show. And this one sets a record, Jay. How quick did this one sell out?
I want to say, was it like 90 minutes, 92 minutes, something like that? It was unbelievable. And I'm driving at work. And I pull over and I was like, I'm going to see how things are going in my email inbox. Every order I get an email. So it's like, ching, 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 ching. Like, it doesn't make that noise. That's the noise it makes in my head.
Yeah, right.
No, but it's like, Danielle texts me and she goes, there's like 20 tickets left, right? I'm like, shut up. So I was thinking maybe she meant like second row or something. And I look and like, no, there's like 20 tickets left. And they'd only been on sale like an hour, not even. I'm like, what is going on? So I think what's happening is people are like, the front row, they're literally gone. People think there's like some weird voodoo, like we like hold tickets for people or hold back tickets, like there's some formula. That's not how it works.
No.
Like we go in there and we set an inventory for the front row, the second row, the general admission. And when those are gone, they're gone. Like there's nothing else we can do.
Right.
So we don't pick who gets them. And we don't even put them on sale. We don't click a button. We schedule it. And at 10 a.m., like, boom, they go on sale.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, that 90 minutes was the quickest 90 minutes of my life. And usually the last like 20 or 30 tickets will hang around forever just to torment me. And I'm like, and we're like putting reminders out, sending emails. We're like, only 20 left, and trying not to be annoying. But at the same time, like, somebody buy these goddamn tickets,
Right. So I can say sold out, right?
Yes. And now it's like, I'm going to be disappointed if it takes longer than, 90 minutes. Because it was, I think the old record was like 5 hours with Bret Hart. And,
right.
It's crazy. So,
right. Yeah. And, I don't remember like how much you had even, I think you had just dropped the poster. Had you even dropped a match at all?
I think we announced that night, that Nemeth was going to be there. We announced at the show, which sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, but I think we just dropped the poster and that was it. And I don't know if it was people thought, hey, it's Dreamwave X, they're going to do something crazy, or, like I said, things have been rolling and it's kind of been, going uphill in an upward trajectory. So I'm not complaining though. That's for sure. So.
Yeah, 10-year anniversary show. You know, everybody always expects, something to be big there. So, but yeah, so we announced that night was world class Channing Thomas, world class. I'm saying that for Sydney because he would get pissed at me if I didn't. Going up against Nick Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler in WWE, former WWE champ, TNA champ. Big match there. The big one in a cage match for the Dreamwave title, Connor Hopkins defending against Christian Rose. So as crazy as it's been, you decide to put these boys in a cage one more time. It's the only way to contain them, huh?
Yeah, and for how cliche that story can be about the underling turning on his trainer, or his mentor, or whatever. Man, these guys have done a phenomenal job. I know the women get a lot of credit and a lot of the shine and stuff, but I mean, can you say that anybody's been a bigger MVP for Dreamwave over the years than Christian Rose?
Right.
I mean,
No.
I don't think you can. I mean, every time we've had something happen or whatever, we just put we put all our stock in him, and he just every time just takes the ball and runs with his characters evolved. I mean, it went from being the promos, that everybody loved his promos, and it was the skinny kid with spiky hair, and then the undefeated streak. There's been all these different eras of Christian Rose, which is cool, and we have fun writing it, me and him, and he's responsible for a lot of his own stuff, but
Yeah.
we'll bounce ideas off each other, and I think we have a very mutual respect for each other, and we're responsible for a lot of each other's successes, and we know that, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, and man, and not to say not taking nothing away from Connor, I mean, but they've done a phenomenal job with that storyline. They really have, and it's been amazing. So
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so that night as well, if Maggie retains versus Kylie the night before, she's going to put her title up against Masha on Saturday night. Big hard hitting match there, man. Coming up, so excited for that one. I think a lot of the big buzz too around Dreamwave is the alternative division. Man, has that really turned up, with with guys like, Marcus Mathers, who's your temp, Vikingo, Gringo Loco, Stephen Wolf, Arez, all those guys that, we've had in these big time matches. Like, holy shit, the alternative is like must watch now.
sure, and we've said this before in interviews, but it's like, Dreamwave's kind of like that mixtape where it's like, okay, here's your women's match, here's your alternative title match, here's your tag match, and everything kind of plugs into a certain spot. So it's like, we're not going to give you guys a chance to get bored. So
Right.
if this isn't your preferred style of wrestling, just wait 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or whatever. And the alternative title, I think you can almost hear like this buzz. I like to watch the shows out in front of the crowd because I like to watch their faces, see how they react to things. Because, I mean, when it's like a pen and a paper in my basement, and then it's like, you know what I mean? And then you see this moment actually happen and come to life. It's like, holy cow, this is badass, And,
Yeah.
but anyways, you can almost hear this like audible excitement building when it's, it's now time for the alternative title match. And it's like, oh shit, like this, you can hear people like, this is going to be really good, Like,
Yeah.
watch this,
Yeah.
man, watch this. And it's
Yeah.
cool. I mean, and it's given us a chance to spotlight like a lot of people in different ways, and, things like that. And there's not a huge story for the alternative title a lot of times, which, you could say it's lazy booking or whatever, but man, it works. And I don't know.
It works. But yeah, people are watching, and it's there's so much going on, and guys like Vikingo have just torn the hearts of LaSalle, like they love him, you know what I mean? And so so they're latching on to people, they're kind of leaning that way with Marcus now too, like like just really getting behind him. And these stories of this alternative vision is awesome. And the story we got going on right now and that with the tag team titles is very interesting. Got a lot of people intrigued to watch. New guys, I mean, those guys just wrestled the Hardys. They're probably the most talked about tag team in indie wrestling right now, probably. You know what I mean? And the storyline with the Hype, is going to be a big match here. And then, like I said, you got something for everything. Just, hang on 5 minutes. Enter Hartenbauer versus Vic Capri. Now, if that don't touch your little old school Dreamwave heart, I don't know what does, man. Like I'm all for this, man. I'm like, hell yeah.
1,000,000%. I mean, if there's anybody that's a flag bearer for Dreamwave or LaSalle Wrestling, it's those two guys. And, I think that's going to be an interesting show. Now, let me go back to that tag match real quick. I just want to talk about what a phenomenal job the new guys, Hunter and Gage, and all those guys have done with the tag division, which, I mean, it's another thing. We've been opening the shows with the tag matches, and it's like, I mean, it just fits perfectly. That finish we did with the judges' scorecards, that could have went really bad because people aren't used to that, and that's a newer finish in wrestling. It's a mixed martial arts finish, and but man, everybody was hanging on every one of Bonds' words and waiting for that. And the new guys have done a phenomenal job. The Hype have done a phenomenal job, and I'm sure Timothy Green, our loyal follower who hates the Hype religiously, doesn't agree with me, but. Yeah, man, they've been great. That St. Louis crew, hey, that St. Louis guys have really been, Hager's hitters have been really showing out.
Right. Yep. So, all right, man. So Uprising, Dreamwave X is coming up in April, and then, I mean, we're gearing up for this, and all of a sudden, you have, like I said, you have all these shows coming up, and all of a sudden you announce what could end up and possibly being the biggest Dreamwave show ever. You announced Outdoors, Luz Lagrado in Peru, Illinois. Summer Spectacular, July the 12th, where it's going to be an outdoor show. Jay, let's just talk about this one, man. Your inspiration to do this big outdoor event in Peru.
So I'm compulsive. I'm totally insane when it comes to decision making. Ask Christian Rose. I had this idea, and Lagrado's is part of our sponsorship deal.
Yes.
We obviously everybody was very happy, but it just deals evolve over time. And when it got time to like, hey, we need to know if you're going to be coming back for next year. And it's like, well, yes, but it would be cool to do this. And then you got to go back and change the numbers and things like that. So Lagrado's had told me they wanted to do a show, and I was like, well, I don't just want to do a show. Like, we could go do a show anywhere or whatever. Let's make it the biggest fucking show of all time that we've ever done. And so here we are. And now that I'm kind of married to that, we got some really heavy hitters on the line for that. And it's just a matter of, I got until July to put this all together, and I can't wait, man. There's no cap on, as my kids say, there's no cap on what we can do in regards to the crowd there. And if you don't like stuffy buildings with wrestling, come to this one because it's going to be a spectacle. Like, let me just tell you a little spoiler.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So I like to do things big. And I talked to Mary at Lagrado's, and I said, Mary, how angry would you be if I had 3 semi-trucks full of sand come in and built a beach at Lagrado's? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, so that wasn't a no. But anyways, so yeah, I think we're actually going to build a beach at Lagrado's as a set for the show. So I can't wait.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We do things big in Dreamwave, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. We do, for sure. You do. Absolutely. You have since announced a musical guest, Ryland Fisher.
Yeah. Formerly known as Ryland Fox. He left us in our little indie wrestling world and went and became a big singer-songwriter in Nashville. And I got to hang out with him last year. We went down there and, man, we tore up Nashville. And,
nice.
I got to see his world a little bit. And, whenever he come back, he'd do the wrestling thing. So I'm excited to see him. He's not coming out and playing a bunch of cover songs. He's going to come out and do his show. And we actually had a lot of fans asking me that had followed him in the wrestling career and then, evolved into singer-songwriter stuff. And, he's got some writing credits on some pretty big Nashville singles and stuff. So it's so cool to see other people get different, success in different areas of their life and things like that. And he's just a good guy, and everybody loves him, man. So.
Yeah, so July the 12th, outdoor, Luz Lagrado, Peru, Illinois. It's going to be outdoor wrestling, festival-like, music, food, booze. It's going to be a spectacular. Beach, all that, man. So July the 12th, tickets are on sale now. General admission is available, dwtix.net. If you know a wrestler that's going to be at Dreamwave, Jay's probably already gave them some paper tickets, so hit them up. Like, there is, nobody can bother any of us at Dreamwave about these tickets because they're on sale and will be on sale until then. So hit them up. This is the one to go to. Everybody that that's always missed out on the Dreamwave shows, this is the one that you'll be able to make without a doubt. It's going to be fun, man. I'm excited. Dead middle show for the summer. It's going to be awesome, man. I'm excited, man. It's what a great idea. Let's talk about Luz Grotto too. Luz Grotto and Exercise Science, both out of Peru, Illinois. They basically share a parking lot with each other. Big supporters of Dreamwave Wrestling. Luz sponsors Dreamwave, and Exercise Science sponsors the Uprising division, women's division. And you see all the pictures on social media when on show weekends where all the athletes are working out at Exercise Science, and then every after party show is at Luz Grotto. So big part of Dreamwave, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the sponsors, let's make no mistake, we sell a lot of tickets and a lot of streams and things like that, but we can't do it without the sponsors. I mean, they've been phenomenal, and they're partners in this. And the great thing about it is you're in business with enthusiastic people that are, they want to do this. They want to do fun things. And, so it's exciting. It makes it a lot easier, and it doesn't feel like work, man. So
that's right. All right, let's get to something, Jay, since we're talking about Luz, where I've as working for Dreamwave, I've gotten a lot of questions for. You probably have gotten a lot of questions for. One of the big announcements that have came through starting in July, the Dreamwave Wrestling Academy, that's going to actually be in Peru, Illinois, right next to Luz Grotto. You just want to kind of fill everybody in, man. I had a lot of questions about who the trainers are going to be, how long the sessions are, when will it start, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, if you're watching right now, I got all the email information up on YouTube and Facebook. But yeah, just kind of, maybe, give a blanket idea of what that's going to entail.
Sure. So it's going to start in July. I believe the second week in July is what we're looking at. The first session's almost full. Sessions are going to be 3 months at a time.
Great.
That doesn't mean we're going to kick their ass out the door when 3 months are over. That just means
Sure.
that we're hoping that at the end of 3 months, they're ready to at least maybe get a pre-show match and kind of start evolving. We're going to take them, these kids, this is a whole all-encompassing school. So we're not just going to teach them how to wrestle, kick their ass out, get the next class in. We want them, if we're putting our stamp on them, we want them to be able to promote, easy for me to say, approach promoters the right way.
Sure.
Know how to handle themselves in a locker room, know how to market themselves. That's all a part of this now. And they've got excellent teachers. Christian Rose obviously is going to be one of the head trainers, the head trainer.
Awesome.
You got Gringo Loco, who's been all around the world. He's going to teach a night at the school.
Nice.
A night a week. You got Shazam McKenzie. And I believe that's a 3 we announced so far. But
yep.
So you're going to get 3 different training styles, but I think it's really important we have 3 different walks of life. And we've got, and that's not to say they're the only trainers. We've got, Vic Capri, who's got his own academy in Chicago. I'm sure he's going to come down and help out. You never know who you're going to see. I mean, honestly,
right.
We get approached all the time about people wanting to come to the school, wanting to help out at the school. And honestly, the response has been a little overwhelming, and it was kind of one of those things where we had an idea where let's put a graphic out, and we have this plan, and we put a bunch of money into the school to get all new heating and air, and it's okay, well, maybe we should do a show there too. It's a venue, it's an all-purpose venue, and all these ideas just started really coming into fruition so quickly, again, because Legrato's and Mary is such a good partner, and she's excited and enthusiastic, and the guys are excited and enthusiastic, and it's so much easier to get excited about things when other people around you are excited, and it's you're building it together, and
Absolutely.
That's the base Dreamwave is built on. Those are the building blocks we've always been built on. It might be my company, quote unquote, but it's everyone's company. Everybody takes ownership of Dreamwave, and that's what I love about it. And the same thing with the Academy. So yeah, we've got a couple slots left, I believe, for the first session, but we still got a ways to go till July. But yeah, we're going to get these kids in there. We're going to, it's cool to meet them already. I've been like, kind of going through this like interview process, because that's the other thing is we're vetting these students. We're not just like taking their money and, whatever. If you don't make it, you don't make it. We want
Right.
them to succeed. We want to set them up to succeed. And I think that's really important. And it's good to have some integrity when you're doing anything in a business that oftentimes lacks it. So.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're not watching right now, if you're listening, you can email Dreamwave Wrestling at Gmail. Excuse me. Dreamwave Wrestling at gmail.com. Thank you, everybody, for watching right now on YouTube and Facebook. And I want to thank everybody listening on Apple, Spotify, Audible, all those podcast platforms out there. And thank everybody listening on SportsWire Radio. Today, we're sitting down with Jay Repsel. He is the owner and promoter of Dreamwave Wrestling, talking about all the latest announcements. And Jay, speaking of latest announcements, man, you had a big one. So if you subscribe, to independent wrestling television, if you go and search under Dreamwave, there's a movie from back in the day where young Jay Repsel is it looks like kind of doing like a day in the life of Dreamwave, what it takes to put it together, all that kind of stuff. Go check it out on IWTV. And so now it's time to do the sequel. So it's going to be called In the Rear View. And just curious, Jay, why now?
Well, the technology we have, that first film we made we went out and bought, $150 flip cams, and I bought a Mac and tried to learn how to edit myself, and sometimes good, sometimes bad, but I mean, in fact, I still in my office right here. But I mean, it's cool, it's like all this technologies and now we have Nick, camera guy Nick. And,
shout out to Nick.
I'm Nick Consalvo. He does some amazing work, and like, so I have the good ideas, but I can't always make it look good, or, like it's a group effort. Like I need his vision to do this. So, and I think there's so much cool stuff. Like it's not nearly as wild as it was, back in 2009 or 10 or 11 or 12, but, there's so much cool stuff that goes into it, just seeing the production end of things, and, how the vignettes and the things the fans see online, to see how that stuff is produced is really cool. And how things go from like a storyline from point A to point what they see that come out of the curtain. And I think that's really neat. And it's definitely not just a day in my life. That would be very boring and stressful for everybody, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But but it's more just kind of seeing like what goes on, not just behind the scenes, but with these people. IWTV does the series The Life of, and I think that's really cool.
I like that series. Yeah,
it is really cool. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. They have a lot of cool content on IWTV that's not just wrestling. And I think it's, something neat. And we kind of talked to them and we're like, hey, like, would you guys be interested in airing this? And I just not long ago bought a Blu-ray duplicator, and I'm like, I'm obviously behind me, see all these movies. I've owned like multiple movies, and I'm a big physical media enthusiast.
Physical media forever.
Brother, I'm telling you. So we're going to start releasing the old Dreamwave shows again on Blu-ray and DVD.
Awesome.
Mostly DVD, because I think since we've been for the comeback, it's all been Blu-ray, but everything else was in like, lower res, so we can't do Blu-ray. But anyways, so we're like, we got a means of distribution, because we can self-distribute things now with the power of the internet. So that was the reason let's go ahead and make this movie and see how it turns out. So.
Yeah, look forward to it, man. In the Rear View, the story of Dreamwave Wrestling, a feature film. I'm assuming you haven't started shooting for it yet, so maybe I'll sneak a little cameo in there or something.
We actually have. We've actually got a bunch of clips already, so it's cool. We just did the St. Patrick's Day parade, and we had some fun stuff we filmed there, and
awesome.
It's really cool. So
cool. So, any announcements for us before we kind of get to? I think that's everything as far as what's going on show-wise, what's coming up, all that kind of stuff.
No, I don't think so. I think we've got just about most of the matches out for the weekends coming up here. We've kind of buried everybody with announcements, so it's like we try to have this social media release schedule. I just blew that all to hell this time. So no, it's pretty much just on cruise control for the next 2 weeks.
Right. So Jay, another avenue of content, man, that's kind of out there, and it's really picking up steam. I've even heard you, make the comment that you're a trading card company that does wrestling. So you have, you've started the line of Dreamwave trading cards. How's that going? Well, I know how it's going, but tell everybody else how it's going.
It's going really good. Actually, we're getting ready to ship out our next set, which is Uprising 2. It was weird. I just got a question on that. We put them up for pre-sale. And again, Nick, Matt Tucker, we got all these awesome photographers at Dreamwave. So we get these concept of these cards, and I don't know if I can, we do these awesome like packs and whatever. So it's like, again, it's not, we don't just throw them in a box or like ship them in a padded envelope. We actually like try and get some like, these are nice glossy cards, and we do chase cards. The series has autographs. The Uprising series has autograph cards in it. Like, trading cards are huge right now. I'm not into it myself as much. I respect it. That's one habit I don't need. And but it's cool that the card people I've met, like Mike and some other people in the card community, have given me some advice and told me what to do, what not to do. And I mean, we won. For a lot of people said we had card set of the year with Uprising, and I'll be honest with you, I never made a trading card in my damn life. So it's like, I leaned on JC because he's a big trading card guy. I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? Like, what do you think? So it's been great, man. It's been wild, and it's another revenue stream for us, and the fans really seem to like it. So
yeah. Primo, trading cards, it's a big deal these days, huh?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm looking at cards right in front of me. I myself collect trading cards and like wrestling trading cards at that. So I saw that. I was like, oh, man, that's pretty dope.
You have to give me your address. I'll send you here's what I was looking for. We do all these like the Uprising set, Dreamwave Series 1.
Those are so cool.
Series 3. Yeah. So it's kind of neat. It's just we try and do it like we do everything else, man. We try to make it as professional as possible. So.
Yeah. They're nice too. So, all right, Jay. Before we get to viewer questions, I just want to say, before like I said, most of our interaction is on show day, and we're all running around doing crazy things. I just want to talk about, I've been involved with a lot of, wrestling companies with my dad and stuff when we were younger and stuff, but like, we really do have a good team at Dreamwave, like, and so I just wanted to shout out, I'm sure you do too, but, everybody's got their own thing that they're doing, and it looks like mad chaos, but it always comes together like a beautiful circus, man.
It does.
And it starts with you, man. You know what I mean? Like, and it all trickles down from there. So, just want to shout out because I know a lot of people from our team are probably, going to be listening to this. So just wanted to say, shout out for everybody. Like, everybody says good job on show day, but, outside of show day, just wanted to give a shout out to the team.
1,000,000%, man. And that's just, again, that's indicative of like what we do. I mean, everybody takes ownership of this thing, and like, if I can't show up, I'm doing something else. I know things are going to go smooth because I know we got a good team in place, the good safety net, and I would not dare name people because I'll leave somebody out. But I mean, everybody knows, man. We're all friends. So that's the thing, is like, it's not like they show up and do this and make me a bunch of money and I never see them. Like, these people are at my house the day after the show, a lot of them, and like we all hang out, and it's a brotherhood, it's a fraternity, and I love everybody that is involved with Dreamwave and help. I miss them when they're not around. Legitimately, I know that sounds cheesy and corny, but when you walk in that building and it's like, oh man, and you're giving people hugs and stuff, those are legitimate hugs. Like, they're family members, and you miss them. Some of these people come over my house for holidays. It's no bullshit. I mean, WrestleMania weekend in my house, there's a bunch of vagrants in my house. Like, we turned it into a reason to eat a bunch of food and stuff. So, but yeah, man, no, I love the Dreamwave family. That's not just this catchphrase we say. That's a real freaking thing. So,
yeah, man, for sure. All right, so let's get to that part. I know there's a lot of people out there. I want to thank everybody over the last week. Jay put out a message, about being on the pod, and he gave my email address and asked for, you to send your questions in. So I want to thank everybody that sent in those questions, and Primo's going to shoot these off to Jay. So as Jay is answering these questions, I want to take this time to invite anybody in the chat that wants to ask Jay a question to go ahead and do so. And so we'll start with the email questions first. Go ahead, Pre.
All right, Jay. So we got these questions for you. Here is one. What is the most stressful thing about being a promoter?
Ooh, the travel. Not my travel, but getting everyone else there. I think the hardest part is the volume of people we fly in for Dreamwave, especially with the double shot weekend. You don't understand the money that we spend. Getting people there. It's like I think there's 8 people that come in for Uprising this time. Then there's like another 6 that come back in on Saturday, and then we have to get them all back to the airport. So, and make sure Danielle helps me out a lot with the hotels, and we might be at Legrados having fun celebrating. Meanwhile, there's people trying to check into a hotel, and they're like giving them a hard time. They can't find the reservation or whatever. So those kind of things can be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, a lot of logistics.
A lot of logistics.
All right, next up, is Dreamwave returning to Square Circle Expo this year in Indy?
They're not. We are not. We were going to. I'll be honest with you. I goofed up and didn't get the table in time, otherwise I probably would have. So as much as we have a lot of people that help out, I do a lot of like the operational things, and like I also have another life outside of wrestling, and I just forgot. I'm like, I'll get it next week or whatever, and that show's growing too. Kudos to Adolfo and those guys that put that show together, man, because it is awesome. Ed. But yeah, so no, I waited too long. I slept on it. So not this year, maybe next year. So good luck to them. And it's a well-ran show. And if you get a chance, check it out.
Awesome. You mentioned this earlier, actually, you touched on it a little bit. How did your relationship with the Knights of Columbus building in LaSalle begin?
So we were looking for a building when I ran my other company. We used to go to the Flamingo Banquet Center. It's literally right down the road on the same street, on 2nd Street. And they got bought out, and they do Hispanic dances. It's like a cultural center now there, and they weren't interested in doing wrestling. So we're like, what building in town is big enough? And went to the Knights of Columbus, met them. Believe it or not, I'm a Catholic. I actually joined the Knights of Columbus myself, and my brother Knights are there, and we started doing the show, and I got a really good relationship with the building, and yeah, man, it's great. They take care of us. They appreciate us, and we appreciate them. It's a really healthy relationship. I'm sure we've wanted to strangle each other a couple times, but it's just like any family. You're going to do that when you're dealing with each other. We give them the most dates. I mean, we provide a lot of revenue for them. They give us a home, and I've got a key to the building. I can come and go as I please, and it's a lot of respect between parties there. So.
Awesome. We've seen a few of them tonight, actually. These Dreamwave posters, they are awesome. Do you make them, or does someone else make them?
No, I have an artist that makes them. He's a friend of mine, and I kind of keep him close to the hip because, I don't like, even with my photography, sometimes the guys get pissed, but like we take pictures every show. Matt Tucker takes pictures, or camera guy Nick, they'll take pictures, and I don't share them with other promoters. If talent wants one and they ask me really nicely, they need one for WWE or somebody, I will share them, but I want our stuff to look unique, and there's nothing worse than when everything looks the same. It just sucks. So like, I think all the Dreamwave stuff is branded, has a unique image, and I keep it that way, and he makes posters for me, and he doesn't make any for anybody else around here or whatever, and won't. And, he's also, man, like I send him a tip at Christmas time, and he knows how much that artwork means to us, because I think that's a really underrated, important part of what we do, because it makes us look major league, man.
That is awesome. They really do look good. And I understand keeping your cards close. The next question we got from the fans here. Who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
In Dreamwave?
It just says ever.
Okay.
I think they just meant ever. Yeah.
Man, that's a tough question. I would probably say I'm a Ric Flair guy. I mean, and I'm talking about what Rick does in the ring, not outside the ring. But
that's fair.
I mean, I grew up like lady that babysat me when I was a kid. Her mom was a huge wrestling fan, and it was 6:05 on Saturday nights. Like, I liked the WWF, but I came up on the Crockett stuff, and that was my thing. I used to go to the video store and rent the Coliseum home videos as well. So I just love wrestling, and I don't watch it as much anymore. I still do keep up with it, obviously, because it's relevant to what I do. But there's just so much product out there, it's hard to follow. But to answer your question, Ric Flair, probably.
Awesome. Are there any plans for Uprising tag team titles?
It's been discussed, but I just feel like until Uprising kind of goes on its own, not right now, because you got to figure every slot. I'd like every title to be defended on every show if possible. Sometimes it's not possible, but 8. I always get heat for this from guys like Hartenbauer, but like, so eight matches is about the perfect number, right? We do 12 sometimes, and that's a lot. And we want to be in and out of there in 3 hours. I mean, sometimes we go over a little bit, but we do a pretty good job about keeping it close to that. No one wants to be sitting there, especially with little kids, for 4 hours in a small room, or whatever. So to answer your question, I've thought about it, and maybe eventually, but right now we've got a lot of belts already that, take up a lot of slots on the show. Not take up, but occupy a lot of slots on the shows. So
For those that don't know, what is Dreamwave After Dark, and will it ever return?
Somebody in the know emailed this.
Wow, this is like a secret club. I'm giving away all the secrets here. No, so it wasn't Dreamwave After Dark. I made it in fact, IWTV, when they put us on there, I signed over the distribution rights or whatever, and they put the After Dark shows on Dreamwaves, like under the same category. I'm like, no, it's a different company completely. Like, you have to delete that. So After Dark, so there's 3 companies. There's After Dark Wrestling, Uprising, Women Athletes, and Dreamwave. They're 3 completely different entities. Uprising and Dreamwave commingle, obviously. They date each other sometimes.
Yeah.
But After Dark Wrestling was bar shows we did. And it was kind of like, okay, we've got to really watch what we say sometimes. We've been really more lenient than we were in the past with what we let go on Dreamwave shows, because I don't like to insult the audience either. Like, if you can see it on television, like on network television, whatever, man. Like, sometimes people get out of control, and sometimes they go into business for themselves. You might see a middle finger, which I don't approve of that, but it happens. So anyways, we said, what if we did these shows and just like, there's no filter on it. We just go crazy. And I think we had Joel Gertner like MC at one time, and like,
Nice.
They were raunchy, and they're out there on IWTV if you want to watch them, but just keep in mind, they are not for little kids. And I would love to bring it back. It's just a matter of finding the right venue. And I know that shit would sell out right away, because everybody asks me that all the time.
Right.
But we're going to have the right size ring. We got a couple of rings coming for the new school, and never say never. Let's put it that way. We have our own venue now. So
Someone out there asked, which wrestler that we currently see on the pre-show can we look forward to see on the main in 25 to 26 time frame?
Whew, that's a good question. I like that.
That was a good one.
That's a very good question. Making me think here. Sean Logan. I mean, look what he did with Channing Thomas. I mean, and I love that, because what you guys don't see is those kids come and they set up the building. They're there. I'm going to say his name wrong, but Theseus, I believe is how you say it.
Theseus, yeah.
Okay, there you go. So I did butcher it, so I apologize. But, another guy that he's there. And it's hard for me because it's a pre-show. There's even shorter than the main show. It's like, I can't do a million people on there. I mean, DB, we talked a little bit about changing that formula up a little bit coming up here.
Yep.
But, Matt Hatter, another great guy. And I'm not putting these guys on just because they come help out. We've got plenty of help. They're good guys, and they earn their spot. But, I mean, everybody starts on the pre-show. I mean, most people. And the students are going to, too. And it's feast or famine, and, we want the best. And, so to answer your question, those are 2 of the guys. I saw, let's see, I'm trying to think of who else. Oh, man. I'd have to go back and look at some of the tapes, but look at like Amina Belmont, like she was on the pre-show a couple times. And then we see like a different version of their character or different things they can do. And I think she's like the CSW champion right now. And it's cool to see these people grow as performers. And, you never know. I mean, we don't let anybody on it. Like those people have to come help out, kind of blood, sweat, and tears sort of thing. And we like to see them earn that spot though.
Yeah.
Cool. Are there any legends that you've never been able to book in the business that haven't been on a Dreamwave show yet that you would like to in the future?
There's some of them are cost prohibitive. I had a call with one. I had a call with one of the managers today, one of the talent managers today on a person, and I had a number in my head, and the number that I got was way higher. And they're like, but he'll do 5 hours. I'm like, I only need 2. So how much for 2? And they're like, well, he won't leave his house. I'm like, well, why won't he leave his house for under that dollar amount? Like, because he doesn't need the money. So it's like, makes sense. But, and I'll say this really briefly, just for the fans. It's getting harder booking some of these legends, and I'll tell you why. Because when we started out, there was indie wrestling shows. Most of them were shitty. We've had a good one, so people like to come here. The problem is with these Comic-Cons now, these they're booking wrestlers into the Comic-Cons, and that's great. It's great. They're making a big living and stuff, but the problem is they can guarantee them a weekend for a dollar figure that dwarfs what the indie wrestling shows can do. So it's an uphill battle, and we're finding ways around it. But it's definitely hard. But as far as one person, yes, there's a lot of them. It's just a matter of making it make sense. So
awesome. What is your favorite thing to eat at Lou's Grotto?
Oh, I'm a wing guy. I like the mild or the medium wings.
Medium buffalo?
Yeah, medium buffalo. So here's a little trick at Legrato's, just so you know. If you get wings and you get mild, they just don't put sauce on them. I found that out the hard way. So you got to get the mediums. It's like the perfect amount. Their blue cheese and ranch dressing is amazing.
I was going to ask that. This one's not on the sheet, but I was going to ask for me, ranch or blue cheese.
Oh, if I had to choose one, I would say blue cheese.
Oh man, okay. We can end the show dirty right here.
But I'm telling you, it's got to be chunky blue cheese. It's got to get that big old chunks of blue cheese in there to be good. So.
I'm a ranch guy myself. I understand. I don't have any more on the sheet for me, but I do have one of my own that I probably asked you last time you were here. But when you first dreamt all this up as young Jay, and you are to where you are at now, we already said what would you tell your younger self, but is this everything you ever thought it would be, or is it do you still have? Are your goals and aspirations for this still growing the more you attain them?
It is, and I'll give you a couple answers to that. Like, I didn't know what I was getting into. I just knew that I loved wrestling and I loved to be a promoter. I wanted to be a wrestler, and I came back from wrestling school, and for a lot of reasons, I wasn't. I was better on using my brain, which does work good for certain things, not so good for others. But and it just all the success came to me, and like that was never a problem. Was getting the success for me, and like I said, I wasn't humble exactly back then, and now I'm a way different person. I'm so grateful, man. Like, I couldn't even begin to tell you how grateful I am for what we have. And like Dreamwave's like probably almost killed me, but it's also saved my life. So, I love it, man. Like, we took a step away and came back. Everybody grew up, and, staying out till 4 or 5 in the morning changed to, I'm at Legrato's, and I'm like, I'm looking at my wife. I'm like, what time is it? Is it time to go home? She's like, it's like midnight. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. But no, man, it is. And it's so cool to see, like, these people that have been coming, some of these wrestlers that wrestle for us now used to come to my shows back in the day, and at the Flamingo Banquet Center when it was RCW, and that's cool to me. And I'm gonna probably sound a little conceited here, but I think I've earned a little bit of that. I think I've done a lot for a lot of people in this business. Maybe jump started them or given them the platform for them to do what they're excellent at in front of the right amount of people. And for that, I'm really proud. I mean, I'm super proud of that, and not to say they wouldn't have succeeded without me, but I love to give them that platform to jump off of. And the fact that it's in this little tiny ass town in the middle of fucking nowhere, like, I mean, it's the perfect location, but it's the weirdest location all at once, and it's amazing. So yeah, I'm always aspiring to do more, and like this movie and stuff, I want to put my heart and soul into it. I want people to watch it and be like, that was fun. They may watch it once, but they can hear our story and see our side of things. That's all that matters to me. The school, that's going to be our legacy. So
that's awesome, man. Thanks for answering these. Dirty, back to you. That's all we got on the sheet.
All right, man. So I got a few quick hit questions from the chat. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in today and checking us out and talking with Jay here. So Brandon from Facebook wants to know if there's ever going to be any free shows.
Yeah, possibly. We had one on the line. We're going to do it locally this year. And the problem with those two is Dreamwave's kind of grown so much that I could do a show, but it's really hard for me to do a Dreamwave show. Because with that structure, they're used to paying bands, and there's nothing wrong with bands. I love bands. I go see bands all the time. But they're paying like cover bands and tribute acts and things like that. it costs a lot of money for the lights and the sound and the talent, the flights, the hotels. So I would love to. I love outdoor shows. I love
Sure.
it's like a house show. Like we just have an iPod and music, or an iPad and music, and like we don't have to worry about 6 computers in the back and
Right. Yeah.
lights and programming entrances and stuff. So
Yeah.
I would love to. I hope it's in the cards, but it's just a matter of making it make sense. There's
Sure.
a chance there could still be one this year, a very slim chance, but yeah.
Okay. Rhea Zarita from YouTube asks, is there any exciting debuts coming up for Uprising?
Absolutely, there's a lot of exciting debuts. That's something that we're really good with, I think, is scouting talent and seeing the right talent, like Brittany, and there's another girl from Arizona that's coming in, Fallen Gray.
Yep.
We saw the vignettes with her, and she's got a lot of buzz right now. There's all kinds of these girls. Nixie XS from St. Louis.
Yeah.
We're going to give her a little shine, and it's crazy. We have so much talent, like in the Midwest. But yes, there's a lot of local talent. That's the cool thing about us too, is we're not prohibited by just drivers. Like we fly people in from all over the country.
Right.
Like I said, the West Coast girls that are coming in, Zamaya and Brittany, and I believe Becca's out there now and stuff.
Yep.
So it's so cool, man. Like you get to see these women, that live that you normally wouldn't see live. So
Right.
it's really cool.
I'm assuming maybe know who this person is. Corin Holcraft is asking, when is Greta getting her debut?
Man, I think we're gonna have to find a bigger building first. These are friends of mine, and yeah. When we do a cowboy show, Greta. I'm still holding on to that gimmick for her. So
Right. Okay. Here's a good one for you. Frank from YouTube says, there's been amazing talent from Japan at Dreamwave. Is there any plans to bring more talent from overseas?
there always is. In fact, I'm trying to put like GCW and Brett. I wouldn't say like we're friends, but we work together all the time. We don't talk daily. We have no issues with each other, but
Sure.
as far as I know. But he'll like have somebody coming in if there's a date that like that talent is not on a GCW show and we happen to have a show, we'll get them over here, and it makes sense economically, flight wise and things. I'm trying to put together a couple tours for some people.
Oh, cool.
So what I'll do is I'll reach out to this talent and basically see if it makes sense. Then I'll contact some other promoters and say, hey, I noticed you have a show in this month or whatever. Would you be interested in bringing this person in? So there's a couple from the UK I'm working with right now, and there's a couple from Japan I'm working with. And absolutely, we're always looking at that angle because it helps our visibility with the streams a lot. So
Yeah, it definitely helps. Jim Wilson, very familiar with Front Row Jim. He's in the Front Row Mafia. He said, what is your favorite storyline of all time, not counting Thanksgiving meal?
Wow. So just quick hits here. I'm thinking the Christian Rose undefeated streak was kind of put us over to the next level. I mean, that was unforgettable. If you consider that a storyline. I think Brittany and Zeta, which is still happening, is one of my favorites because of where it propelled us to and took us to that next level. It's like we're at this threshold, then all of a sudden these two 19-year-old girls come in, and it's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
And I think we glossed over that tonight a little bit, that those two are going to wrestle each other for the second time only. We're going to hit that pretty hard the next 2 weeks because I don't think people realize how important that match was for Dreamwave and its visibility.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I love the A-list back in the day. Those were all classic people. The Iron Man, Brubaker, that wasn't really a story, but like just the way and what those people meant to Dreamwave over the years. Starting out going way back for the OGs. Austin Roberts. He's a guy, he was our first champ here that we didn't. I mean, my original idea was to have Derek St. Holmes act like Ric Flair to be the champion. Thank God I love Derek, but he's like, so yeah, there's so many good stories that we've had over the years. So many classic matches too, man. I wish we could just make a playlist and get together and watch them all as a group sometime or something.
Yeah, that's what Alexander from Facebook was asking, if you have a favorite match or moment from your promotion's history.
I'll tell you what, man. One of my favorite matches was recently, Megan and Maggie too. I know it's been talked about a lot, but the tension and the atmosphere in that building was palpable that night. Like literally, everything was perfect. It was the right moment in time. Man, There's Rose versus Ali. They had a match that was pretty famous. Can't remember if it was no DQ or they just said screw Jay, let's use chairs and stuff anyways. But that's on YouTube. I believe somebody put it on there against my will, and I haven't digital copyrighted it off there yet. But no, there's a bunch, man. It's so hard to just pick one or two or whatever. But
Yeah. All right, Jay. So last one, man. We're gonna get you out of here on this. What's your favorite surprise you've been able to pull off at Dreamwave? This one comes from a guy that wears a green hat, sitting front row at Dreamwave a lot, Dylan Hager.
All right. So there's little surprises like the Rumble and stuff like that. You play for that pop, and it's like you're waiting for like for example, Jordan Cross was looking for a partner, and Bobby Orlando came out. That was a little surprise. Biggest surprise, if you go back and watch the first Dreamwave documentary available on IWTV. So nobody was doing things like this at the time, but we had Christian Rose and John Morrison set up and announced for anniversary, I think 6 maybe, something like that.
Yeah.
So what we did was we flew John Morrison in, paid him, and a normal rate to come in and basically do a surprise run-in and surprise Rose and just promote the match. And that was before, like, I'm sure Twitter was around, but it wasn't nearly as powerful as it is now, I think. But yeah, it got all kinds of buzz for it, man. And that was probably my favorite thing ever was the Morrison Rose surprise.
Man, good stuff. So Jay, I mean, I want to say, first of all, thank you for your time. Obviously, all the stuff that we talked about today means you're a super, super busy man. We got Double Shot Weekend coming up just in a couple weeks. All these events, except for Dreamwave X, are on sale right now. Tickets are on sale right now. DWTix.net. That's DWTIX.net. Jay, I can't thank you enough for being on the pod today, brother. I can't thank you enough for giving me the best job I've ever had. I know I tell you that sometimes, but wanted to tell you that again, man. I have an absolute blast working for Dreamwave. I love being part of the team there, and every time we have a show, I always look forward to it, and they just seem like they just get better and better. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for providing this platform for these professional wrestlers to own their craft and to get better and being a good fucking person while you're doing it. So just want to give you a shout out and say thank you, man. Thank you everybody for watching today. Jay, brother, anything else you want to say here, man, before we take her on home? I mean, there's so much. Yeah.
No, I just want to say thank you guys for, always being supporters of the product and things like that. All the fans that are listening, we can't thank you enough for, dealing with those Monday mornings when the tickets go on sale and, when the building might be a little too crowded or whatnot. You might be having your nice dinner at Legrato's after the show, and I might come in and disrupt it by saying, "Let's fucking go!" So I appreciate you guys putting up with us and dealing, being a part of the Dreamwave family, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Is like this is a group effort here. So let's keep on rolling and see where this takes us, I guess, right?
Yeah, man, let's keep on rolling. Dreamwave Uprising 5 coming up April the 11th. Tickets on sale now. Not many tickets left. Grab those. All the shows are going to be on IWTV. So if you get sold out to the shows or you get kept out and don't get a ticket to the show, you can always watch on IWTV. Go right now. Guaranteed to get a ticket. DWTix.net for Dreamwave Summer Spectacular, July the 12th. You don't have nothing planned yet for it, so go ahead and mark it down. Come down, hang out with us at Peru, Illinois. It's going to be a big show. If you see Jay out somewhere, he's probably got some paper tickets on him, so hit him up. And just want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Thank you, everybody, all the Dreamwave Wrestling fans who are excited about this podcast. Hope we answered a lot of questions today, and just thank you guys so much for being on. Primo, it was good to have old Jay back here. Let's not wait 77 episodes for the next one, all right?
Yeah, for sure.
Sounds good.
All right. So for Primo, I am DB, and he is Jay Repsel, and we are top guys, and we're going to get out of here, but we're going to get out of here only one fucking way. Let's fucking go.